So one thing that I often say is I think we live in the golden age of guitar. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think it's ever been a better time to be a guitar player. There's more people playing guitar than ever. There's more people making content on Instagram and YouTube talking about guitar. There are more companies now building guitars, amps, pedals, anything that you might need to play, record, or use a guitar on a daily basis. And the reality is, I think the gear that's being made today is as good or better than anything in the past. But there is a trade-off, and that is it can actually be quite overwhelming when it comes to buying a new guitar or searching for your new guitar. A lot of times we're spending thousands of dollars that we've scraped together to buy these instruments. So in today's video, I want to talk about how to find the perfect guitar. In my experience, there's a bit of a process involved to finding the right guitar for you, and it's different for each person, but there are a few key things to look out for and to do when it comes to purchasing your next guitar. And so today, we're going to talk about those things. But we're not going to talk about this in my home studio. Instead, we're going to go to my local shop, Righteous Guitars, and talk to the guy who sold me my best guitar, my number one best instrument I've ever owned, the Novo Saris J. That dude's name is Ben Calhoun. You've seen him here on the channel before, and he is my guitar guy. He's the guy I go to whenever I want to buy a new instrument. So we're going to head over to Righteous, and we're going to talk to Ben about how to find the perfect guitar. All right, Ben.
Hi.
We're buying guitars today.
I love it.
I mean, not literally, because I don't have the money to buy a new guitar today, but we're going to try and...
We'll find one for you.
We're going to try and equip people with the right questions to ask. Basically, how to find the perfect guitar. So, yeah. How do you do it?
Well, if you are a guitarist, which I'm assuming you probably are if you're watching this, if you go into some shops, you'll get people that want to help you out, and they're going to ask a bunch of questions to determine what the right instrument for you is. You don't always get that, though. So what Rhett was talking with me this morning about was how do we equip you with those tools so you can go into any shop, anywhere, and find the right instrument for you. So if you come to Righteous, you may notice that we ask a lot of questions to try to learn about what you're into. So we're going to want to know a few really key things. One of them is where your budget is, and you need to know that. Before you go guitar shopping, figure out what you want to spend. You can have a little leeway, but figure out what you'd like to spend. That's really important. Once you've got that nailed down, for us, we need to know what all you play. You know, luckily you know what you play and what you like. So we're going to ask you what kind of amps you're into, what kind of guitars you're into. Are you gigging? Are you playing at the house? Are you recording? What have you played that really excited you? What are you not into? So, for example, for me, if you were to ask me a bunch of these questions, you would find out, yes, I do gig a bit. I'm a pretty loud amp guy. I'm an American amp guy, not really a Vox or a Marshall type of person. Love Strats. So there's a real key thing there that we can talk about in a little bit, but don't like Les Pauls. And those two things are hugely important when I'm trying to find a guitar. So once you've kind of narrowed down some of those things and you're going to go into a shop, I think it's really important for you to think about, okay, like for me, what is it about Les Pauls that I don't like, right? Because there's a lot of guitar. I mean, there's tons of them, right? Actually, There's a ton of Les Pauls right there. Has nothing to do with the sound, right? I mean, I think all of us love the Les Paul sound. It's iconic. So for me, it comes down to actually where the guitar sits, how it feels.
Like physically on
my body.
Right.
So actually, like, if I take a Les Paul and I hold it, because of where this cut is, it sits a little further back. I can't really play up here.
Right.
So with the strap, it's a little bit better, but it still feels, there's something there that doesn't quite suit me. So that's really important for me to know, because I can almost guarantee any guitar with the waist in this area is probably not going to feel great to me. Other things you might want to consider is, like, what are you trying to achieve tonally, maybe that you're not getting right now, or what are you trying to improve on, right? So if you're like Strats, for example, I'm pretty pleased with my Strat sound. I've got that covered. So what kind of things am I trying to do to further my kind of journey that we're all on. And when I ask myself those things, I come up pretty quickly. Right now, probably the thing that I'm most interested in is a P90 guitar. Cool, again, we've narrowed it down. So now if I'm looking for P90 guitars that don't weigh a lot, right, that have a narrower nut width, and I know my budget, I've just taken 1,000 guitars and turned it into maybe 5.
Right.
And now I've got a much better ability to kind of hone in on what I want.
So what would you tell somebody who maybe doesn't have access to a store like this? Let's say you just have, your local big box Guitar Center, Sam Ash, or whatever, and they still want to be able to go into a store and look at a wall of Les Pauls and be able to find the best guitar on that wall.
Yeah. I think some of the key things, like when we pick Gibsons out, for example, and we go to Nashville to hand pick all of our custom shop guitars, it's not always convenient just to plug them in. That's not a big deal though, because if I pick up a guitar, like that first guitar that I picked up, for one thing, it's pretty heavy, okay? And there's a lot of conflicting views on heavy guitars, but from my experience, contrary to what a lot of us heard, heavy does not necessarily equal better sustain or better singing tones.
Right.
As a matter of fact, a lot of times it's the opposite. Right. So that's fairly resonant. Let's just grab the next one here. This is actually a less expensive guitar. This guitar is actually a little louder than that guitar. And something feels different about it. If a guitar sounds great unplugged, if it's resonant and feels loud and has some punch to it, it's almost guaranteed that you can get it to sound good plugged up. If it's lifeless when it's unplugged, not that is, but some are, then it's a lot harder to try to make it come to life. Right. So one thing I would recommend is play them unplugged. Just get a feel for them and see how they feel without actually plugging into an amplifier. Take out any of the variables, now you've just got a guitar, right? So anything you do past that is going to kind of embellish on what's already there.
Yeah.
So if it's not there, it's not there. So if I was going into just a random shop and trying guitars, I really don't ever plug them in until I've played a few and then oh yeah, I think this is the one I want. Here.
Yeah. And from my experience, that's something that only comes with time and experience. Like picking up hundreds of guitars over the years, you start to develop a feel instantly. Like you and I can probably pick up just about any guitar in this room and pretty much agree on what is going to be a great guitar and what is going to be a not so great guitar. Yeah. Just another excuse to go down to your local shop and play guitars. Yeah. All right, so I have an idea. The last time you did this, it worked and I ended up buying the guitar. But I want to test your theory and I want to test your knowledge. I want you, knowing me, knowing what I like, pick out a guitar in here that you think that I'm gonna play and instantly fall in love with.
You want me to tell you my thought process while I'm doing it?
Yes, like walk me through the process, and then I'll actually go in and play it, and I'll tell you if you're right or not.
Okay. So what's going through my mind immediately right now is I know what you have.
Yes.
I know what you don't need. I know that as much as I would love to show you some strats, you've got some nice strats. You're good. You're set there. You've got a killer 335. Les Paul, I think you're covered on that front. You've got the Novo, so you've got the bolt-on P90 kind of thing covered. I also know that you cross platforms as far as your the feel of a guitar. Mm-hmm. So I think you're less sensitive to that than I am. So that gives me some good insight as to where I can go. Right now, I'm automatically discounted pretty much that whole wall. Right? Okay. Which stinks because there's so many killer guitars on that wall.
Right.
I would love to show you. However, you don't need any of those guitars. I know one thing you don't have. So you need a Junior.
Oh, yeah. I don't have a Junior.
And you've been playing a lot of stuff with fuzz and kind of more nasty, raw rock type of stuff. I mean, what's more raw rock than a Junior?
You're right.
So that's where I would immediately go to. I don't even know what we have as far as Juniors, but I would actually... This is where you got to know your guy, right? So even though I know I probably have a few Juniors here, I would tell you 100% hang tight and be patient for a minute, because I know for a fact that I'm about due for a TV Junior to get in here. I don't think we have a TV right now, and I think a TV, if you get a Junior, I feel like
that's the one.
Kind of got to be TV.
Yeah, it's got to be TV.
And it's got to be a single cut.
Right.
For me. And I think for you, that's the look and everything for when you're out playing. It's just got the vibe. So this is cool.
Very cool.
It's a cool guitar. Matter of fact, in a double cut, this is pretty sweet. It's not the guitar for you, but it is the guitar I want you to play. That's super cool. Totally not you.
Yep.
Also super cool. Totally
Definitely
not you.
not me.
Those aren't juniors though. Those are specials.
Right.
But even if they were juniors, those aren't for you. You're a single cutaway, so like a 57 reissue, TV yellow, not mustard, but like the limed green kind of TV yellow junior. That's what I would have you play. I'll have you play that instead so you can kind of just enjoy the thing
the
and
vibe.
realize what I'm telling you is truth. If you like that, you're going to love what I'm recommending.
Okay.
It's the harmonic thing, that inversion that happens, you know? The other thing I love about these is you can simulate a neck pickup if you just roll off. You get the That's you're off to a solid start there. Not gonna lie.
All right. What else do you have in mind?
Well, a couple things. Actually, this has just enough funk on it to maybe be cool. It's an old Harmony Meteor.
Ooh.
So, could be a cool guitar or not for you, but I think it's definitely worth checking out. And with some of the fuzz tones you've been getting recently, this might be really fun. But there might be some cool tones in there with the gold foils that you're not really going to get out of anything else you have. So, you know, might be not something that you necessarily take on tour. Maybe it would, but it could definitely be cool to get some fun studio tones out of.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a nasty sound.
That is cool.
So, yeah, something like that then.
Grabbed another one.
Yeah. This one's one that you probably wouldn't expect. You just have to trust me on it.
Okay.
Just knowing you as I do.
Oh, yeah.
The relationship that we do, I thought the Strandberg would be a perfect guitar for you.
I'd love to, but I just physically can't.
Well, I also have this Floyd Rose Screamin' Charvel. I thought you might dig that.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Ooh.
Yep.
So that's the third one, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is one we handpicked out at Gibson. It's I can't remember if it's look at the neck heel. I can't remember if it's a 61 or a 62, but it's a really resonant guitar. The whole thing is gold, which is cool when it's relic, and the whole thing is relic. So it's checked. It's just a really cool guitar, and it's nasty. I can tell just from. I don't know that I've actually plugged this in, but I don't have to. Again, back to the earlier comment, I know it's going to be screaming. I was like, hey, it looks cool. The weight's right. Doesn't neck dive too bad.
I feel like that's another thing too, is if you're looking at a specific type of guitar, a lot of guitars like SGs, for example, have specific characteristics that are not desirable. Like some SGs neck dive really bad, others don't.
Right.
So
knowing what you're looking for, doing some research ahead of time, whether it be on forums or YouTube, and finding what to look for is really important.
Well, you know, to that point, when you're shopping for a guitar, we keep demo straps around. Always try it with a strap. You're going to play it with a strap. So I know for me, I can play a lot of guitars sitting down that feel great. And as soon as I take it out and play it, it's not so great.
Yeah.
So you want to play it both ways. Sit down and jam on it. Make sure you like the guitar. And before you make a final decision, pop a strap on it. Stand up. Another thing that's really helpful is if you're hunting for a guitar, we were talking about earlier, kind of minimizing the variables. So bring your amp and bring your pedal board with you. Or at least make sure they have the same amp you have, because anybody could come here, me included, and play through an amp that is unlike what I have and fall in love with the amp. Mm-hmm. And then get home and go, wow, my guitar is awesome, but maybe it was the amp I fell in love with. So if you look under the light, it's just perfect.
Yeah.
It's right amount of checking. And back to that original point,
Yeah.
that's loud.
Yeah, especially for an SG too, because SGs are small guitars. Those are not.
Yeah, it's a lot less mass. But feel the weight on this. Like I said, it's a little neck divey, but it's not bad.
This guitar looks like a muscle car from the late 60s, early 70s. Like, this thing looks like a 67 Trans Am or something like that, which is, it literally just makes you want to go. Things that are jumping out to me are, it's the right weight. Mm-hmm. It's a good weight. It's very resonant. Like, it sustains, it rings, which to me means that there's life in this thing. Like, it's the pieces have been put together well. The pieces have been married well.
And then you plug it in, and that all translates.
Dude,
I mean, that sounds so good.
I'm also learning that I just need a plexi.
So here's the deal. He legitimately killed it. All three of those guitars that he put in my hands, I very easily could have seen myself buying, especially that gold SG. That thing was, that was a ringer. But that's what you want. You want somebody like Ben who knows you, who knows your gear, and who you can trust to help you make the right decision. Now, whether that's someone you deal with online on a website or someone in your local shop, whether that be the local mom and pop or a big box store like Guitar Center, you want to know a few people around who have good taste in instruments, who know a lot about what they're talking about, who have experience, and more importantly, they know you. They know what you want and what you need, not what might be the hot new flavor of the week. The thing is, I've gone into that shop so many times and had Ben and Jeff or any of the other people talk me out of something that I was kind of caught up on, a flavor of the week kind of thing. And they said, dude, you don't need that. Don't worry about that. Don't get that. Wait for something better. And pretty much every time they've done that, they've been right. Just like 2.5 years ago when Ben put this in my hands. I came into the shop looking for a P90 guitar, and I kind of poked around at some of the stuff that I was familiar with, and he knew. He saw this up on the wall, and he knew when he put it in my hands that this was the one. And without a doubt, this guitar is the best purchase I've ever made. This is an heirloom piece. It will stay with me for the rest of my life, and I will pass it down to my children after me. It really is a special instrument, and I'm really grateful to Ben for getting it in the shop and connecting me with it. It might sound a little over dramatic to some of you, but to those of you out there who are lucky enough to have a guitar like this, a number one, the guitar, you know what I'm talking about. It's a special connection. And if you don't have that, I'm sure you will at some point. And hopefully today's video gave you some tools to help you find that one guitar, the one that really speaks to you. Huge thanks as always to Ben and Jeff and all the guys over at Righteous Guitars for letting me come in and make these videos for you guys. If you're ever in the Atlanta area, please drop by and check them out. It's really a good time, and they're incredibly nice and incredibly helpful over there. I'll also have links to their social media and website down below so you can check that out as well. Let me know in the comments section, what's your dream guitar, or do you own your dream guitar? Tell me the story. How'd you find it? How long have you had it? And how did it come into your life? I want to know. If you'd like to support the channel directly, be sure to sign up for the Green Room linked down below. For just $5 a month, you can get into the Green Room forum where we have our second monthly challenge going on. It's a ton of fun. That's also where you can get involved with Skype sessions with me. I've gotten some emails about that stuff recently. You can sign up for those through the Green Room linked down below. And there you can also find links to some of my favorite gear that I use to make these videos. Those are Amazon affiliate links. So if you buy through that, I get a small commission, which helps me out in making the videos, as well as links to my Kemper Profiles and Helix presets. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm Rhett Shull, and remember, there is no plan B.